for everyone out there who has been watching and following my Instagram page or my Facebook page of Jammer's Wrestling Magazine collection on Facebook and Jammer 90210 on Instagram, you'll know I've been posting yearly magazines from the month of November. And I just recently did November 1982. And when doing this, it gives me a chance to look through the magazines, right? Because they're up on that newsstand kind of display that I have. And it gives me a chance to actually go through and look at them and actually get to read the articles or look at the photos. I mean, when they sit in piles on my shelves, it's kind of hard for me to want to go through and start looking at stuff. So this is the November 1982 of The Wrestler. And it's, I haven't looked at it before, but I looked at it today and I found something interesting in it here. If I can find it real quick. Right there. It says, wrestling's first scaffold match. This happened in Memphis, and it was superstar Bill Dundee against Coco Ware, managed by Jimmy Hart. Coco Ware, of course, would go on to become Coco Beware in the WWF as the time went on in the 80s and early 90s. Coco Ware was a heel here, a villain, of course, being managed by Jimmy Hart. And Bill Dundee and Coco Ware, I guess, came up with this idea of a scaffold match. And it says here that Jimmy Hart is the one that said it in an interview that we'll have a scaffold match and to see who the real winner is in this dogfight between these two, right? So now I always thought, like most maybe did, because I mean, I didn't have this magazine until recently. But I did hear of this match not too long ago, but I always thought the first scaffold match was in the NWA at Starrcade 86 between the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express. That was always my thought on it. I just figured, because I didn't know anything before that. To be fair, as a teenager and, into my 20s and such, I just knew what I saw. And I had a lot of wrestling information from that because I was so invested in it. But I didn't know a lot about the history of the other territories until time went on, thanks to the internet and podcasts, shoot interviews, and thanks to getting these old wrestling magazines and looking back and seeing this stuff. Now, if you are familiar with scaffold matches, they're really boring and they're really dangerous. I mean, they are. They're not an exciting match. It's pretty much two guys standing on a scaffold trying to do their damnedest not to fall off because there's not much room up there to work with. You're not going to be seeing crazy spots, crazy moves. And if you do, then those wrestlers are pretty, insane and crazy to be doing that. I remember, what was it? Great American Bash 91. There was a scaffold match with Beautiful Bobby and PN News against Stunning Steve Austin, and I believe Terrence Taylor was the other guy. And there it was, you can either throw the guy off to win or go across the scaffold and it was like a flag on the other side, right? And if you got it, the match was over and you won. And that's how they finished that scaffold match, that no one took the fall that night. Usually Beautiful Bobby took the fall when it came to him being a scaffold matches with the Midnight Express. He seemed to be one of the ones that always was the first to take the daring fall to the ground. Of course, 1988, there were supposed to be Road Warriors and Powers of Pain in scaffold matches. That didn't happen because Powers of Pain pretty much said, screw this. We're going to go to the WWF and not break our necks falling off the scaffold, because no way was Animal and Hawk going to be the ones falling in that situation. But here you see superstar Bill Dundee is taking the fall. So the match should be over, right? Dundee fell. Well, in this case, from what I read, when you fell off the scaffold and hit the ring, you had a 20 count to get back up to your feet. So the match would continue. It was almost like a Texas death match or a last man standing match, where even though the fall had ended, and I don't mean that to be punny, I mean like just the pinfall, but in this case, an actual fall, you still have 20 seconds to get up, and the match can continue. And so Bill Dundee fell. It says here at the 16-minute, 28-second mark, Dundee is the first man to fall from the scaffold. So he ended up getting up, from what I read, at 18 seconds and climbed back up to the scaffold and went at it again with Coco Ware. And then Coco took the fall, landing and breaking his wrist. So, yeah, you do get injured in this match, right? Like Coco broke his wrist. It was an unneeded match. I mean, think about this. Back in that era, there's no guaranteed contracts. You're getting paid when you work. You have to work the towns to get paid. And Coco breaking his wrist, A, you have medical bills. B, you have to take time off while it heals at the beginning. I mean, you're losing money, and for what cost? Like, what are you getting out of a scaffold match? I think scaffold matches are just really, really horrible matches. And of course, you get this here like that. Get a good look at the fall there of Dundee. And you can see, like, they're doing moves here. Like, there's wrist, like, arm bars, wrist locks. Looks like a sunset flip. So they did try to do moves in this match. But they're just, I don't know. I just don't like scaffold matches. I didn't like them in ECW when JT Smith and the Dark Patriot had them. Or later on when, like, I remember Tommy Dreamer and Brian Lee had a really, really dangerous looking scaffold match. It was like ropes or whatever tied up to, like, the beams at the ECW arena holding like 2x4, or not 2x4s, but like the, like the plywood, I guess it was, right? And Brian Lee took the fall through and he landed through tables. And of course, the infamous XPW one with New Jack and Vic Grimes, where New Jack pretty much tried to murder Vic Grimes, trying to throw him off the scaffold, like past the ring. And lucky for Grimes, he hit the ropes and bounced back in the ring, or he would have been one dead dude on the cement floor. So yes, this was apparently the first ever scaffold match. Happened in Memphis. Of course, Memphis is pretty much the hotbed for crazy acts and such, right? They were over the top. And that was one of the cool things about Memphis wrestling that made it fun. It was a really fun territory. I mean, even up into the mid-90s, before it closed, USWA closed. I know Memphis wrestling still ran after that, under different names, which I never understood either. Like, why not just keep the same name? It still looked like, I think it was like Memphis Championship Wrestling or something, where Doug Gilbert did that shoot on Randy Hales and Jerry Lawler, and it looked just like USWA wrestling or CWA wrestling from that studio arena, but I digress. Anyways, so yeah, this is it. The first ever scaffold match that they're saying, and that I'm aware of, and until I look back at older wrestling magazines, maybe I'll find one that was before Coco Ware and Superstar Bill Dundee, but I mean, maybe this match happened somewhere else and they brought it to America, or they brought it to Memphis. I don't know. But so it says in this magazine that this is the first. So there it is. If you want to read this, it's in The Wrestler, November 1982. Again, follow my Facebook page, Jammer's Wrestling Magazine Collection, or my Instagram page, Jammer90210. I post every few days. I'll throw up the magazines from the month that we're in from a certain year, and it's kind of a cool way to see the covers displayed. It's a cool way for me to go through and read the magazines and look through them and see things, because when they're sitting in piles on my shelves, makes it hard for me to actually want to go through and find stuff to read. Usually I just skim through the first few magazines at the top of the pile because it's the easiest thing to do. All right, so thanks for watching this one. I know it's a short little video, but I thought I would do something fun today. Hopefully I do a longer video coming up, maybe one on Randy Savage on the magazine covers. I think that one might be kind of cool. I still like to do one on Diesel, on Kevin Nash. I still have to do one on him for the magazine covers, but I'm hoping that I end up getting more Diesel covers down the road. I'm still missing the complete year of 1999 and 2000 for the wrestler. I just can't find them on eBay, at least not in lots or even on their own. So, I mean, I could probably get them off ebay.com, but I really don't want to deal with having US stuff shipped to Canada. I'm trying to just deal with buying from Canada since it's a little easier for shipping costs and just price costs in general. All right, so thanks for watching this little video, and until I do my next one, I'll talk to you guys later.